Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing fantastic out there. And if you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. If you could subscribe to the 560 WQAM YouTube page as well, that would be also fantastic. Tobin and Leroy, weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. as I throw the cans on as your Miami Dolphins making some moves. Finally, it was a very quiet start to free agency. First of all, it was infuriating. Nothing Dolphins related, Elon Musk related, because I wasn't able to get any of the damn picks today or any of the damn action because this damn X, which it's been terrible since it's been X. When it was Twitter, that was the glory days. That was an app. And so today I'm sitting here, I'm dying for Dolphins moves, and I'm like signing up for Blue Sky, which is like, all right. You know, they tried to make this Blue Sky a thing. I'm like, look, dude, I've been using Twitter since 2009. I ain't going to change. And, you know, respectfully, Blue Sky, you know, I remember everybody's like, oh, I'm going over to Blue Sky. I'm like, you guys will be back. You said the same thing about Threads. And we were all on Threads for 3 seconds, and then we were out. And I sat here and I was like, first of all, I was like yelling at engineering at the studio. I was like, is this we have a Wi-Fi issue? No. But anyway, I didn't miss anything anyway because nothing happened. Then when I got to the Heat game today, we got our first move. Zach Wilson, former number 2 pick, former Jets quarterback. And last year, a quarterback for the Denver Broncos, is a Miami Dolphin. He is going to be the backup this year for the Miami Dolphins. He gets $6 million, which could be $10 million, and pretty crazy. 25 years old, still very, very young, very clearly has tangible talent. Dude has a real piss whistle. And sneaky mobile. I was like, well, I didn't even know that. I was reading in Barry Jackson, and he was like over 5 yards a carry from Zach Wilson. And I'm like, probably running for his life with the Jets too, because, man, they had a terrible offensive line around him. The glass half full of it is, okay, you look at the Dolphins. They already went down this road with the Jets before where they got one of their old guys. They did this with Mike White. Mike White, who was like the character guy, the locker room guy, but obviously didn't have the talent that a Zach Wilson did, even though a lot of the team turned on Zach Wilson because he was very immature as a quarterback and he was throwing dudes under the bus. We all remember Braxton Berrios wearing the t-shirts and all that. And so one has to wonder, has he grown somewhat being in the spotlight? Having Aaron Rodgers there was obviously a big thing. They all thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be there to take over. He got to be under Aaron Rodgers' wing. Then he got a year of being with Sean Payton, even though Sean Payton didn't keep him around. They end up going just as their backup quarterback and letting Zach Wilson go off. But, you know, we did rave about him. And it was interesting. Albert Breer, who I'm not the biggest fan of, he says, based on what people in Denver were saying about Wilson after the season, I would not dismiss this signing. The big thing about it is like, hey, can this guy pick up Mike McDaniel's offense enough to run it? In the case that Tua Tagovailoa misses significant time, which you can kind of set your watch to it. And I say that as somebody who still likes Tua. I'm a fan of Tua. But it is a concern. It's impossible not to go into these seasons and not be like, all right, well, if the shoe drops, do you have somebody else who can pick up the slack? Is this the right signing for the Dolphins? I don't really know what the better options were that were out there. There was Marcus Mariota. There was, I suppose Daniel Jones is still out there. Gardner Minshew. And then you had other guys such as like Jimmy Garoppolo, who was, you know, an obvious Dolphins link with the reputation or the relationship with Mike McDaniel. He ends up staying with the Rams. Josh Dobbs ends up signing elsewhere. So some of these other guys, you're just like, yeah, all right, they're all kind of gone. Where do we go from here? Dolphins end up going with a not cheap option, although quarterbacks are getting they get big money. Which it is funny because you look at this, it's like this guy basically got $6 million just because he used to be the number 2 pick. That's the only thing that I find fun about. It's not that I have a strong opinion if it's going to work out one way or another. I think I'd be foolish to just dismiss it. He obviously hasn't done much in his NFL career. He's been a colossal bust with the New York Jets. That usually bodes well for one of your places down the road because Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, it's been rolling well for quarterbacks out of Jets land and how things have been going. Look for Aaron Rodgers to be back to being a Pro Bowler this year. So you do have that positive side of it, but the funny thing about it is it's like, well, why is he getting $6 million that could be 10 instead of like a minimum? And it's basically like, because, he was a number 2 pick. It's like, what? That goes back to like when you traded for Josh Rosen. It's like, why? Because he was a top 10 pick, baby. Let's just do it. It's like, okay, well, just because somebody thought 3 years ago and was wrong that this guy was that good, I digress. Obviously, the guy has physical tools. Can he put those all together mentally? And maybe, now he's in a system with Tua. He's going to have a lot of weapons around. And maybe the most important thing, which he's been running for his life, is they are going to have a somewhat revamped offensive line. Because the big signing today, somewhat controversial, the Miami Dolphins signed free agent guard James Daniels, who is a Pittsburgh Steeler. And a lot of people rave about his talent and say that the kid is definitely one of the top guards out there. Here's the caveat that really is the only question about it, and probably why the Dolphins got him at the price that they did, which was a 3-year, $24 million deal, and that is he's coming off an Achilles tear. He tore his Achilles last year, week 4 of the NFL season, although reports are, this from Barry Jackson, he's expected to be able to resume football activities in May or June, according to a source. He started 48 games, 4 years in Chicago, signed a 3-year, $26.5 million deal with Pittsburgh. He started 17 games in 2022 and in all 15 of his appearances in 2023 and 4 games last season before his injury. Daniels, who was a right guard for Pittsburgh, is considered a good scheme fit for Miami. At 6'4", 327, he's considered a strong run blocker and reliable in pass protection. He's allowed 1 sack and 105 blocking snaps this season. Look, from my standpoint, dude, I made a comment on Twitter just to be a little bit snarky at it, just because it is funny that Chris Grier does not give one rat's ass about injury past. He does not care. And in fact, it almost seems like he's pushing it even more to the limit. He goes, oh, he had an Achilles tear at the end of he had the Achilles tear in October? Bring him in. Let's see what he's got. Mind you, the Dolphins did just deal with an Achilles tear with Jalen Phillips, so maybe they feel pretty comfortable with that because Jalen Phillips did get back from the Achilles tear. He just got taken out by friendly fire. So maybe there's an element that they feel more comfortable with the injury. Maybe it's an element of like it's a guard, so it's not as explosive, crucial. I don't know. Maybe that's just their thinking there, but he does not care about injuries. It does not matter. Like you could name any injury out there, and I don't think it would scare off Chris Grier if the guy had Pro Bowl talent. If the guy had Pro Bowl starter talent, or if he was getting a bargain because a guy's injury passed, consider Chris Grier all in. It does not matter, does not deter him at all. But the big thing for me out of all of this is that he's not Liam Eichenberg. And if you're not Liam Eichenberg, you're A-okay in old Tob's book. Because honestly, dude, he could be out there week 1 with the stupid Achilles scooter, where you got to have your leg up like a flamingo. He could be in step 1 playing football like that. And if it's not 74 out there on the offensive line, that's addition by subtraction for me. It doesn't sound like we're going to be in that position, so I'm happy about that. I'm glad that we're going to be in a spot where all of a sudden it looks like the Dolphins are actually going to be fortifying their offensive line and getting to this spot. Now, if you presume that this guy is going to be the starter, you got Jones, you got him on the right side, I would assume, if they're going to stick with the way that it was in Pittsburgh. You got Austin Jackson coming back. You are, I guess, going to go either Patrick Paul or Teron Armstead. And we'll just put Patrick Paul there for now because Mike McDaniel told me not to focus on Teron Armstead. So then you have one more right guard spot, and I would presume the Dolphins are probably going to go into the draft and get that. I would think. They also signed this other individual who is a swing lineman, Larry Borum, and he can play all over the line. So you got to kind of got a Kendall Lamb type, if you will, to put into the forefront for the Miami Dolphins and their offensive line. The other big piece of news that is orbiting Dolphins land right now is the Joey Bosa thing. Mike Silver of The Athletic, he came out tonight and he said that the Miami Dolphins are amongst two deals that Joey Bosa is considering. One is with the San Francisco 49ers, and the other is with the Miami Dolphins. And this is what Mike Silver says. The 49ers and Dolphins have each made offers to free agent edge rusher Joey Bosa in a relatively the same price range. He gets less than $10 million in 2025 in either scenario. He then was said, so I assume the choice is easy. He says, I don't think so. I would say money-wise, California, Florida, you're not really close there in the money side of things, but Joey Bosa is not hard up for dough, and maybe he just wants a get-right year. And obviously he gets to play with his brother. So if the money is the same, but you get to have the sentimental story of playing with your broski, maybe that is enough to sway him. I don't really know. Father played for the Dolphins. He's a South Floridian, closer to home. I don't know how much of the Bosa family still lives down here. I would imagine they got some representation, and that would be Goosey's galore for him. So we'll have to see that. But the Joey Bosa thing is not dead. It is not hogwash. It is not out there. He has been offered a deal. It appears that he's got a decision to make, and we'll see where that goes. But overall for today, the Dolphins did what they had to do. They got a big ugly. It's a little concerning that he's coming off an Achilles, but obviously has the talent, and it seems like it's gotten the Dolphins a little bit of a more reasonable price range. The Zach Wilson quarterback thing, look, I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't made fun of the guy. It's different from the standpoint of you have a guy in here who is got the best raw skills, I guess, you've had Mike McDaniel be able to craft. He did refurbish Tua, but Tua was always, even in Tua's Flores days, was better than Zach Wilson. So I don't know how much work has to be done there to get him on this page. And his numbers have not been very good, dude. They just haven't been. So, I would say all in all, I would give that a C. I'm not thrilled about it, but it's the backup quarterback. Unless you were going to get, I don't know, Kirk Cousins on the cheapskis, I don't know how thrilled anybody could have been with any of these guys. And then it seems talent-wise, they nailed the lineman. It's just a matter of, hey, is he really going to be ready for the start of the season? And the other thing is hey, you're bringing in a new lineman, getting him up to speed. You would like to hope that he's going to be there to, get some snaps in, get to know the offense, get to know his teammates. And imagine if we're in a scenario too where hey, Toronto decides to come back and they're going to go easy camp on him. And then it's he's not there. The other guy from the Achilles is recovering. Hey, everybody's backups out there, But let's not forget the most important thing with this signing, which is he is not Liam Eichenberg. That makes the signing an A for me.